What is up, internet land? I am Arc Xcala. This way, this way. And this, I feel like the Brady Bunch. Dun, 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 dun. This is Flannel. And this is Phoenix.
It's the story of an owner named Van who was leader of a place called Kyber Cave.
I thought it was going to be a Saber family.
Okay.
So what is going on, you guys? It is so good to see your lovely faces.
Oh, yes. It has been a pretty interesting week now that most of counties are now in the orange tier of COVID-19.
Yes, and I actually heard April 1st, Disneyland and the major parks and things will be opening up.
Oh, yes.
They're going to have limited capacity, but the big thing about that is if Disneyland is reopening, that means that most of life is starting to get to some semblance of normal.
Oh, yeah. Barely like 2 days ago, San Francisco just opened back up.
Life starts with Disneyland.
Yeah, everything begins and ends with Disneyland. Disney is a country of its own. It is an empire. Hey, Chris, what is up, Daddy? And cons, I'm very excited. I saw OhanaCon posted for Sonora. I want to say they're in April, but the fact of the matter is things are starting to open back up. We can start getting back out there to cons. People can start trooping again, with limitations. And the nice thing about Star Wars trooping is a lot of it involves face masks already.
Oh, yeah.
I know. Mandalorian, I think that's why I started getting into Mandalorian in the first place. I was thinking, that's a great cosplay to have.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
When, I have to wear a mask.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, no, I was just saying that's a great cosplay to have when I have to wear a mask. Or Darth Vader, or, any really Star Wars cosplay except for Princess Leia,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, let's keep it real. It's mostly Darksider, right? Darth Vader and the Dark Side were much ahead of their time. Those were forward thinkers there. Yeah. And especially since it happened a long, long time ago.
Exactly, yeah. And, Van knows by hand I'm a huge, theater nerd and all that. And I just heard that freaking Broadway is going to be reopening its doors sometime next month. So,
wow.
Yeah, Broadway.
I am very, very excited. I'm kind of scared, not to get too political or anything, but Mississippi and Tennessee are opening their states back up. We'll kind of see how that goes. I wish them. It's like Hunger Games. I wish them the best.
Yeah.
Texas, you no longer have to wear a mask at all. So
right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I heard parts of San Francisco don't have to wear a mask either. So
really,
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, you can not wear a mask in the comfort of your home where you're watching the last episode of WandaVision.
Oh, Marvel! That's all I have to say. I'm not going to give anything away because my dear friend Phoenix here has not seen the last episode. But Marvel!
I know, Marvel has been big right now, and literally a few days ago, they announced the actual name of the new Spider-Man movie that's coming out.
Yes. No Way Home.
Yeah, No Way Home. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
is this another animated or is this live capture? This time?
It's live capture with Tom Holland and Zendaya, all that. It's supposed to be an Into the Spider-Verse type of thing with Andrew Garfield and the guy who played Doc Ock in the original Tobey Maguire movie, and they don't know if Tobey Maguire is still going to be is going to make an appearance in that movie, but Electro will be back.
Yeah. So what's interesting is that the WandaVision was supposed to tie in, I guess, some things that happened in WandaVision you'll see coming back up in the Spider-Man movie, as well as the Multiverse of Madness with Doctor Strange too.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I did want to see Chris down there. I noticed he said that the VacaCon is coming back as well. Now that one's going to be online. So VacaCon, I heard that Comic-Con in San Diego has announced it's going to be online again this year. So we're starting to see the last of the online events, and then we're starting to see some of the other events open up. And of course, this is what we're keeping our fingers crossed for too, because we have our event on April 30th.
Yes.
And I would like to get as many people in here. My idea for that is I want to have Dominic doing oh my God, he's watching us instead of WandaVision. Now that's love. Thank you, Tony. I know Flannel is as sexy as Vision there, but thank you very much.
Okay. okay. Just putting all the spotlight on me. All right, I see how it is.
Yeah, and SAC Anime too. I don't know if SAC Anime has announced if they're going to be on video or if they're going to be a live event this year. I'm not sure.
Someone canceled. Who canceled? There was an anime that just, or there was a Comic-Con that just canceled.
Well, I don't know.
Comic-Con itself has announced its video. Tony, thank you for tuning in. We appreciate everyone coming on. Hey, I forgot my.
Oh. I think our audio just cut out.
Check the mic. No, I cannot. Check the actual cord. No.
Well,
his mic. There we go.
Got it. Hello, sorry, my bad.
Ladies and gentlemen, Saber Rattle presents to you last week.
Yes, and Phillipe says he cannot wait for Kyber Con. We will be very excited about that. SAC Anime is supposedly happening in April in Roseville. Okay, so Kevin says that is going to be a live event.
Ooh, live in person.
Yeah. You know what that means? We're going to need to get a table, guys.
Oh, exactly. And I will hopefully attend that con, which I will finally have my Deadpool costume.
Yeah. When are you getting your Deadpool costume?
Somewhere when I get my check, which will be big. And I already have a name for my TikTok, my Instagram, and all that. It's Deadpool MSB, which is mid-Sac, mid-Bay, because we're in the middle of the Bay Area and Sacramento area.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did I not know that your area was like the Greater Bay Area? I've been here all my life and not known that that's what it was called.
Yeah.
I guess we're just great here.
Yeah.
I can't do Deadpool Solano County because I don't know if that's already taken or not.
Well, did you check? Oh, is it Deadpool Solano?
Yeah.
I know Deadpool Fresno is taken.
Fresno's taken.
Yeah.
You never know. Look it up.
Lady Deadpool.
Yeah. Hey, I want to go ahead. We're running a little bit late, and then we're going to be running into our guests here in a minute or two. But before we do that, I want to do one of our favorite part, or at least one of my favorite parts of the show. Do we have now? For those of you that were here last week, you got to see our fabulous producer for our Flow of the Show segment. He jumped on when we were having some technical difficulties. That is Mr. James Kaiser, a.k.a. Dark Cephalus. Yes. And this week, he has brought us another, as always, another fantastic video from another fantastic artist.
And he will be on later on in the show as well. I'll mention that. Yes. So
James is. That's right.
James, yeah. So not only is he bringing us the flow tonight, but he'll be a cosplayer as well.
Yeah, so we get to our Dark Cephalus tonight. I am very, very excited. And I'm excited to see him on the cosplay interview because we've had him on as a flow artist doing the interview. So this will be cool to see this. The man is so multi-talented. What can I say?
Exactly.
We'll be talking about that because he doesn't talk much. We talk a lot here.
Okay,
right.
Come on, don't. We're all friends here. Come on.
All right. So, with no further ado, do we have a video ready for Mr. William? Mr. Dylan Wilmot of the Sons of Obiwan. So he's part of a group called the Sons of Obiwan, but he is just one member.
Yeah. So with this video, I tried to download the full video that he sent me, but Facebook for some reason could not do it. So I had to go on his TikTok to find the videos, and I found them, and we have them right here.
Oh my God. See, that is what a good producer will do for you. You got a problem, man, we'll fix it. Thank you very much. Hit us with that video.
Dante do his shit like
Wow.
All right, and we have another video, a second one.
Okay.
Hope you're ready for that one.
I was digging the whimsical music. I felt like I was getting into a Disney video or something.
Yeah.
Disney, it's SpongeBob.
We're not Disney. We're not Disney.
We're not. We are not Disney. Throw up that disclaimer.
Good job. Now I have to put it up. Now I have to put it up. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. You got another video of Mr. Dylan Wilmot?
Yes, I'm playing the second one right now.
I've been reading books of old, the legends and the myths. Achilles and his gold, Hercules and his gifts, Spider-Man's control, and Batman with his wits. And clearly I don't see myself above that list. She said, why do you wanna know how much you wanna risk? I'm not looking for somebody with some superhuman gift, some superhero, some fairy tale bliss, just something I can turn to, somebody I can kiss. I want something just like this.
Oh man, the beat went up. Oh my God, that was fantastic. Did you see the one that he did? Like it looked like a circle down below, and then a circle, like a rodeo kind of thing.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, I enjoy when like it's like more low to the ground. Like you don't know if it's gonna touch the ground or not. I like that.
That is fantastic. And Willem, yes, you're a very handsome man. You're making me quite jealous over here. You might even need to get your own show. Yeah, no, I absolutely love that. And what I want to say about that is really extraordinary to me is it shows you. I mean, because if anybody knows me, I am not the skinniest, most petite of things around. But you can see there with Dylan that how fast and how precise he is, and he's not necessarily a skinny guy as well, but he was able to use his body so beautifully. He caught the sabers. It was just a fantastic routine. And that was probably one of the faster ones we've seen too. That blade was spinning super fast.
For Dylan, I like to give applause.
Woo! Three applause. Thank you, Dylan Wilmot from the Sons of Obiwan. Maybe we'll have to get him on at some point and find out what the Sons of Obiwan business is all about.
Yep. Well, I was gonna say before, but after Sasha Banks.
What would the show be without Flannel's Sasha Banks reference? Okay, guys, we are running a bit late. Are our special guests backstage right now?
They are.
Yes, they are.
Do we have two of them?
Two of them. Those.
Oh yeah! All right, so I'm gonna let you know about our special guest tonight. I am very excited about those. I'm excited about all our shows, but this one is more of a personal one. This is two gentlemen that we met over a year ago, more than a year ago now. We met them before. Gosh, it's almost been 2 years now. We met them with the former podcast that they were doing. They came down to our KyberCon event and actually helped MC part of that KyberCon event. They do a podcast that is growing very fast, especially in this quarantine time when people are home and looking for new entertainment. So please, I'm gonna, you know what? I know we have James Navarro and Phillipe, but I'm not even gonna attempt Philippe's second last middle name. I don't have it in front of me, so I know the last part is Fairy.
Yes.
So please give it up for James and Phillipe from Distance Nerding.
Yo!
Yeah, hello.
What's going on, Saber Cave?
I'm thinking the pops and stuff that you guys have back there.
Yeah.
That seems to be a theme with all of our guests. You just aren't cool unless you have a pop somewhere on your set.
I mean, are you really a nerd if you don't have a whole bunch of pops, right?
Right. They have something for everybody.
Yeah.
I'll be a little honest though. I'm a little jealous of Phoenix's backdrop with she's got a whole rack going.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, I get jealous too. I'm about to go over to her house and steal a few of them.
I don't.
So how are you guys doing? How has distance nerding been going during this time of quarantine?
You want to take it, Phil?
Yeah, I'll take it, man. It's been good, man. I mean, we started off just kind of trying to figure things out, and it kind of just started growing and becoming this kind of, at least to us, behemoth that it is right now. It's really fun to do. And I mean, you know, there's a lot of work that goes into the show. If you've listened to the show at all, like you just hear everything we put into it. We put our heart and soul into everything we do. And yeah, man, it's just all we're trying to do is create a world that encompasses inclusivity. You know, there's so many segments and so many, you know, people who are into nerdy things that don't always have a safe space to do that. And that's kind of what we want is we want to create that safe space for people to be able to feel comfortable with the things that they nerd out on. You know, like we want everybody to tell us what they're cool on. Like there's things that we nerd out on, right? And we talk about on the show, but what we're hoping for eventually is for people to like write into us and say, hey, I'm into blah, 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 blah. And we can do research and nerd out on it with them on the show and make it something that can spread. You know what I mean?
Right. Now I know you guys have a long history of doing other podcasts and other things, but distance nerding itself started when?
It started November. Well, it was an idea, but it started November 14th was our first episode. We just we've done 17 episodes. You know, I think we just crossed like 2,000 downloads on that. So, you know, it's picking up steam. So we like it. You know, I was thinking about it the other day. I'm like, we're just two guys nerding out about what we're going to nerd out about on, you know, whether it's Marvel, Star Wars, DC, you know, Disney stuff, wrestling, it's all just there for us. But like the conversations we keep having with people are amazing. And it's not like you're part of one little fandom, you know, you're not just a Star Wars fan, you're maybe a DC and that sort of thing. So it's kind of nice talking to people. There's also
all right, Phil. What is he saying, Phil? Or James? What is Phillipe saying there?
Well, what is James saying? In reality, like the whole thing is like you're never a part of one fandom, right? Like you're always going to be a part of like multiple fandoms, and you know,
I think I'm losing you. Is it my internet?
We got you now.
I think we got him back.
Yay!
Oh no, we lost him. He's gone.
Soon as we get it back, we lose him again.
I don't know what to do. I can't do this by myself. No, no. But the big thing is like, you know, you're never a part of just one fandom, right? You're never just a Star Wars fan or never just a Marvel fan, right? Like I mean, there might be segments that you're not into and things like that, but I mean, for the most part, we spread out of different things that are out there. So you know, that's the whole thing is just bringing all that together and finding a way to bring everybody together. You know what I mean? Without the toxicity that's out there, you know?
Right. Now, I know you guys have history in podcasts. And first off, let's make a little distinction for some people who don't necessarily know, because I'll see you online, so that's a webcast, right? But then you also have the radio portion. So you guys aren't just doing a podcast. You guys are doing a multimedia kind of thing with distance nerding, right?
God, man, we're doing everything.
Do you dance too?
A little bit, you know. For the most part, the main thing we do is the main show. It's a podcast. Now we do like I do gaming streams on Twitch. We've been doing Lego streams.
Legos.
Yeah, if you haven't caught the Lego streams, the last one we did was the TIE Fighter helmet. We're going to be doing the Iron Man one on Monday. But yeah, like I actually have it right behind me. Hold on, let James take over for a second here.
How are people digging that? By the way, are they like? I know that's a relatively new thing you started doing, the Lego builds, but I was like, when you first started doing it, I was like, really? But then I was like, oh man, this is kind of like you kind of zone in and you're like, oh dude, it's kind of fascinating. How is that doing for you guys?
Dude, it's a fun thing just because a lot of people are actually into Lego builds. That's kind of a big thing on Twitch, and that's kind of where I got the idea.
Right.
But we kind of made it our own thing. So there's a frequent guest that we have by the name of Aaron Thick. He essentially mods for me for the show, and he's hilarious. Like, he's just a ridiculously funny guy. So it's just us talking smack. It's a little NSFW. It's just us talking smack while I build Legos, and it's grown and become its own thing, and it's hilarious, man. It's fun.
Right. Now,
Yeah.
while you're getting that, I will ask now, how does this differ from other podcasts and other things that you guys have done before? What was it about this that made you really decide, you know what, we need to break off and really focus on this, and this is that is some sexiness right there. Oh wow, that is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you decide that this was what you wanted to focus on? Of all the different topics that you could have chosen, why did you guys decide to do nerding in general? Bueller?
I think my internet's cutting out.
Oh, every time you say your internet's out, that's the only time we hear you.
I heard the question as something about how did we get started? How do we differ from other podcasts?
How did you? What is different about distance nerding than other things that you guys have done in the past? Is there more of a focus here on certain things, or is it the format? What's different than other projects you've done?
Well, kind of like this, where this is like a live environment. We do a lot of post-production in our show. So if you listen to our show, a lot of high energy, it's really fun. We try to keep that level of energy and the pace up nice and high.
Right.
But Phillipe here is a master audio engineer. So we have some quality equipment plus his talents, on post-production. So we drop little sound bites in all the time just to keep the jokes rolling and the conversation going. So it makes it really fun to listen and then hear little drops of things, whether it's like, hey, we're going to talk some news about Star Wars. We got some news on the new Obiwan series. And then all of a sudden you'll hear Ewan McGregor, hello there,
Right.
It's fun how it works out.
And a lot of people that don't necessarily have radio experience or even editing experience, they don't realize how much work that takes, right? To get a little, a cute little Obiwan joke in there, you've got to go research it, find a clean file, chop that up, get it in there, time it between. People don't realize how much work goes into. They just hear you for an hour or 2 hours and they think, okay, well, those guys have done their 2 hours a week, but they don't see all the behind the scenes stuff. How much time do you think, just to get on the air, how much time a week do you guys think you put in? I know it's not a small number.
So I know. So I'm just gonna throw an example out there, right? So for an hour show, for just us doing an hour, right? It probably takes about 3 hours to record, right?
Wow, that's
a lot of
recording.
Yeah, and a lot of it is just because we're running ideas by each other, and the way our recording style is very kind of I would say film production style. So we kind of like film in segments and put things together and have an idea of what we're going to do. And then it takes somewhere. So that initial 3 to 4 hours to record an hour long episode. From there takes about between 8 to 16 hours for me to edit.
Wow. 8 to 16 hours.
Yeah. So it's time consuming, but I mean, as time consuming as it is, I love doing it because, you know, the nerds, the people who listen to the show, they enjoy it and we get good feedback. So it encourages me to keep putting that work in.
Right. Now, I assume both you gentlemen have, it's hard to assume now in the time of COVID, but I would assume that you guys have regular 9-to-5 jobs and you don't just make your career and all your money from distance nerding. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's true.
And then both of you guys are.
No, I make all my money from distance nerding.
Oh, you're living the dream right now.
Six figures.
Are you getting from like?
Yeah,
where are you getting that money from? I want some. Right?
Yeah. Well, I'm living large over here, as you can tell by my Funko Pop background in my garage. So
yeah, I see your 6 figures behind you.
Yeah, exactly. There's the 6 figures.
I need most of the production budget that we have goes towards the Legos that I'm going to be building on set. So I mean, you know, if you know what Legos are, then you know that that's not a joke.
Right? Yeah. If anyone's bought Legos, you know they're not cheap. So you guys must be doing it.
Oh yeah, Van, you're not out of the woods yet. Look at this, guys. Look at this.
What did I do?
By the way, Kyber Cave is looking great. I love the
Yeah.
We're not there last time I went to the shop. I need to go to the shop. Man.
And guess who Guess who always lets him put all the Funko Pops up there?
That's right. That's what happens when you're late to work. You get to get up on the ladder and put the Funkos up. That's how I torment my employees.
Last time I was at the shop, I picked this guy up. So I mean, I need to bring it by, man. My speaker went out.
Well, we will take care of that for you. That's what we do.
Nice blade.
Oh, look at that. It'd be better if it was red.
It normally is. I didn't realize I thought I charged it and it's not. So mine's normally red.
So now let me ask you, you guys both have, I believe you're both married. Is that correct?
No, I'm not married, but I'm in a long-term relationship.
You're not married. So that's why you get to do all the editing then, right?
No. I'll tell you that right now. My Jackie, the woman of my life, she's not always happy with the amount of time that I spend on it, but she supports me, you know, and that's the big major thing is that she knows that it's a point of pride and joy for me. So she's completely okay with me doing it.
Right. Now, do you have to set up do you do it where okay, Monday nights and Tuesday nights, those are my show nights, and then Jackie Wednesday night, that's date night. Do you have set times, or is it just some weeks you're in there all week and some weeks it goes much faster?
For me, lately it's been Mondays and Wednesdays. Mondays I do the stream, and then Wednesdays we record. Everything else is just whenever I can get it done kind of thing. Right. What about you?
Because you guys have such a wide range of topics, it's not just a Star Wars podcast or a Marvel podcast or even a Lego podcast. How do you decide what you're going to cover in a week for your topics?
Well, we have various segments that reoccur, but part of our bread and butter is that we want to create a service to our little nerd community, right? So we want to make sure we're giving you the news that we feel is important. So stuff that revolves around Star Wars and Marvel and DC, things that we love, right? So we expect other people to love it too. And we want to make sure that, you know, nerds that don't have all the time to spend scouring the internet, you know, Phillipe and I are up at 2, 3, 4 in the morning, you know, combing the news as a news reporter would do, and gathering the news, getting it ready, trying to make it funny. So
writing stories. Yeah. I mean, you know, and we put a lot of work into this.
Yeah. We just try to make it educational and something you can take away, you know, you know, just like this, you know, you want to learn something from the conversation, and you're investing your time into our podcast or our show. We want to give back to you.
Right. Now, I had never really thought about it, although I don't know why it didn't occur to me till now. But I would say that it's not just about like liking nerd things, right? Like you actually have to have a little bit of journalistic, integrity there. You have to go and find the stories. How do you get away, especially in this day and age with Marvel and Star Wars, and everybody's with WandaVision, and then even with Mandalorian, when they were coming out episodically, you had all these people theorizing between the weeks, or what's going to happen, or why did they do this? How do you toe the line between talking about something and spoilers and things like that? Or are you just whatever? If you're tuning into my show, you're going to get it spoiled.
It sort of depends. I'll be honest. Like with Mandalorian, we did a pretty good job of not spoiling things. And just talking about things and not making it a spoiler. Whereas WandaVision, in that half-hour show, it's like nonstop Easter eggs and spoilers. If we want to talk about it, there's no tiptoeing around it. You kind of have to go head on. And Philippe's really good about making sure we share it. This is going to be a spoiler-filled episode.
Yeah.
Right.
Usually when we get to the segment, lately, our last episode and the episode that's going to be coming out here in the near future, we went full spoilers, and it was just because there was almost no way around it.
Right.
Just because we tried the first couple of episodes, we tried just talking Easter eggs, and it gets really hard to do. So we decided, okay, we're gonna go full. I mean, by the time the episode comes out, a new episode is out already. So we figured, okay, we're gonna go full spoilers. But if you still haven't watched it, if you're you don't want to be spoiled at this point, I'm putting in I put a spoiler alert in, and I say, this is where the spoilers start. Fast forward, go to another part of the show. If you don't want to hear the spoilers, so.
Right.
And we try to be very conscious of that to make sure that we don't, spoil things or interrupt somebody's viewing pleasure, so to speak. So, we definitely disclaim it. But one of the things we try to do is talk about the ideas, and all this nerd stuff is all about the passion that comes from inside, right? So we try to give our nerds like a different layer. So they may be watching, say, Mandalorian or WandaVision, but we're going to talk about what's not just on the surface of what we saw, but all the backstories and all the comic book, lore that may tie into this, just to give people that little bit more of like, hey, this is like an onion. We're peeling back an onion of this story, and there's so many levels to this. So we try to do that. And Philippe's really good about retaining all that comic book knowledge in his brain. So it definitely helps out.
I was going to say, is particularly even with WandaVision, I mean, just the amount of comics and reading that you would have to go through, because they pulled from, several different books and things like that. And then to remember what happened in all those series. Do you ever have it where like a guest will call in and they'll be like, I want to geek out about Naruto, and nothing whatsoever about
I'm hoping
this
for
topic?
I'm waiting for that. I want that to happen. It hasn't happened yet. And that's and that's one of the things that I want to happen is I want somebody to say, I want to hear more about such and such. Oh, cool. Let me do that. Like I want something that I can do research on so that I can, blast out why you're nerding out on it, right? Or why people nerd out on it, right? I'd love for somebody to give me like a specific anime, right? Like I mean, Naruto, Dragon Ball Z, One Punch Man, like those are my staples. Those are things that I like watch as it is. So I mean, to say I want to hear more about Naruto. Like, okay, cool, I'm gonna go all out on that,
Right.
But like,
we know that there's so many different levels of the fandom. There could be people that are just watching something like gaming. I'm not a big gamer, but I find it interesting. So when I hear in our Facebook group, the Distance Nerdington post, I hear Phillipe talking about it with all the other gamer fans and all the other gamer nerds out there. Like, I like it. I like to learn about it and get to know why something is so important to other people. So I dig learning about different nerddoms. So yeah.
One thing that I love about distance nerding, and while you're talking about Nerdington Post, I think this is a perfect segue, but it feels so much like, with Nerdington Post, it doesn't feel like two guys that are talking about what they like and they're just going to talk to you, it really does feel like interactive. It feels like, wow, I'm actually part of this thing that these guys are doing too. I can go on the Nerdington post and put, and I put my memes out there too.
Yeah.
So, and I can feel like I'm part of this bigger community with people that I've never even met before.
Yeah.
Was that part of your design?
Yeah. That was the plan all along. I mean, the whole thing is, how do we get fan interaction? How do we get interaction from people that listen to the show? And then on top of that, it's something that we can use and put on the show too. It's like, oh, hey, we can take, so-and-so said something about such and such, and let's bring that on as a topic on the show. Or somebody said this. This last episode, we actually did that, talking about like some things that someone said, and brought it in. So
there was one topic, I think what was it? The Expanse on Amazon. Like, we've heard of it.
Neither of us have seen it.
Yeah, we didn't watch it, but one of the things somebody brought up, I'm like, sell me on the show. And between him and shout out to our boy Double A who started the post, and our girl Sheila Brown, like, they started this post. Next thing you know, we're 80 comments in talking about Expanse and why it's such a good show. Tons of other people are chiming in and backing the show. It's like, this is something that everybody should go watch, if you haven't watched it. So.
Given of the 80, about 20 of them were different people telling me and James that we're dumb for not watching it. But I mean,
well, see, there's something that somebody's brought to you that you didn't know about, right?
Yeah. The thing is like, on top of that, Double A, he has his own recurring segment on the show called Classified, and he nerded out on the Expanse. It's kind of where it started, was him nerding out on the show about it.
Offhand, he's not a DJ, is he?
No, he's not. His voice is amazing, though, isn't it?
Because I have a friend that's in Sacramento named DJ Double Ace, so I didn't know if that was the same guy. So here's something else I'm interested in. Maybe you guys can help me with. What do you think has changed in culture that like nerds are now cool, right? Like, it used to be, you'd have guys with, lightsaber fighting in their backyard. They didn't want to do it in the front. But I don't know what happened, and maybe it's Disney buying out Star Wars, but 7-8 years ago, you started seeing hot model chicks in R2-D2 dresses, whereas before, those are the chicks that used to make fun of me and throw their ice cream at me, you know what I mean? So what do you think?
All of a sudden, somebody likes Iron Man, and there was the dude that used to give us swirlies in high school, right?
Right. What has changed culturally that now it's acceptable?
Well, for me, thinking about it, it's like so many kids have grown up with, somebody mentioned Robotech, but like Robotech, Transformers, G.I. Joe, Star Wars as part of it's ingrained in their childhood. Mm-hmm. And so many of us have grown up with that being in the public eye. Plus, to be honest, like what you said, Disney buying Marvel, Disney buying Lucasfilm, it definitely helps that the big bucks are behind these nerdy things, right? But like, I'm Filipino, Phillipe here is Latino, right? So a part of it's also the acceptance of it all, right? We're growing up, we're finding bonds with different people, different cultures, maybe they grew up in a different place through these outlets that we all kind of connect with. Star Wars, Marvel, Robotech, it's all there for us to kind of weave our own little friendships and build our community. So this is part of the reason why I love and I have such a passion for nerdy things, is because it helps me connect with my friends. It helps me connect with my family, whether we were growing up together, seeing each other every weekend, or I haven't seen you in 10 years, but you know what? We're watching WandaVision together at 12 at night. You know what I mean?
Right.
And we're texting each other the whole time. So that's part of the reason why I have such a love for distance nerding and everything that we do.
Right. And I know, and I'm sure it brings you to some strange places, because I know when you guys were working with the different podcasts that we know, you guys had like your own beers, and I was like, wow, like you guys are just spreading out there in different ways. Where do you find yourselves ending up in unusual places or conversations that you're like, how did I get here?
Well, some of those conversations, it's really odd. but it's almost meeting people that you totally admire or people that you connect with. Like last year when we were at KyberCon, you know,
Woohoo.
I'm standing next to the original Jawa, Tim Donaldson, you know,
Yeah.
Right.
which is crazy to me that I'm, you know, standing next to hanging out with somebody that was in the original Star Wars movie,
Right.
and
Right.
making connections like that, and
Let's
and
see.
knowing people that were part of the Mandalorian, that were on the Mandalorian, like Dominic Pace. Dominic Pace is an amazing guy that we talked to on Facebook because he's just a person, and he's such a good guy, you know.
Right.
So it's having those connections, or like talking to people in Ireland or Norway or in Canada, just because they're like, hey, we found you, we think it's really cool what you do, keep doing it, you know, the funny drops, and Philippe's really funny, and blah blah
Right.
blah. So yeah.
Do you
it's
guys
great.
actually have international fans?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Norway,
Where's
Ireland.
the furthest person away
Prob-
that you know of?
Probably Norway is the one that I know that's farthest away. When we look at analytics, because we haven't had anybody actually write in from one of these places, but I mean, I've seen Vietnam, I've seen Japan, I've seen all kinds of different places, man.
Yeah.
The people that we know of that we talk to are Ireland and Norway are like the main ones that we actually like keep in touch with.
Yeah.
Wow.
I tried to mention it earlier. I don't know if my internet was funky, but like there was one day where we were on a Zoom call with somebody from Ireland, and then I'm emailing somebody in Norway, you know, and then I'm sending a package to somebody in Florida, and then my cousin in Hawaii. So it's like we're all over the place. So
you're like James Bond. You're an international man.
Try to be.
How do you think these people find you? I mean, it's one thing when I go to a con or I go to Beehive Collectibles in Sacramento. I go to one of the events that you're at. I meet you guys. You guys are cool guys. And then I'm like, oh, I'm going to start listening to these guys. But how does somebody that knows nothing about you, how did they find you?
Do you want to take this one, Phil?
Yeah. So I'm going to give you guys a tip right here. I pay for advertising. So
hey, you know what?
But you know
the way
what?
I look at it is if Coca-Cola still has to pay for advertising, so do I.
I pay for advertising on social media, so Facebook and Instagram. It's not very much, but I mean it's enough to kind of push our spread out a little more. I pay like maybe $5 a week. Right.
But to be honest, it's friends becoming friends, telling their friends.
Yeah.
You know, like I think we're part of a podcast group on Facebook, and the admin is in Arizona, and then he hooks us up with somebody that's in Alabama, and then Tennessee, and then, you know, I forgot, Michigan as well. So it's just a matter of like, you connect with people, you find commonalities, and then just keep spreading and spreading and spreading. So yeah,
especially because we're so broad when it comes to the things that we're into. Like we try and help other podcasts too, as much as possible. So like anybody who wants help with anything, like what are some of the pitfalls we had when we started, or you know, how do we help with your content and things like that. Like we 100% will help anybody who wants help. There's no cost to it or anything like that. We do it because we want to see everybody, you know, grow. You know, what if
I wanted to put out a podcast that was a nerding podcast too, a direct competition to you?
That doesn't matter. Help me? We'll still help you out. We'll promote you if you really want it, you know.
It's not competition, it's all love. It's just one big community of nerds, and we'll all support each other. You know what I mean? So just like what I said to you, like I hope there's gonna be a KyberCon too. If you need help, let us know. We'll come sweep, or you know, park cars. Let us know. You know, we're there.
You should already know at this point, Ark. We shout you out at the beginning of a lot of our shows.
I heard. I was like, oh my god, dude, I'm feeling verklempt over here.
Yeah, and it's because in that whole segment, you know, we do a shout out segment at the beginning of every show. Nobody pays us to do that. Nobody, you know, there's not any advertising going on in that. It's just one, you know, because of the nature of things, we want to support the businesses that we believe in. And on
right.
that, a lot of times we build these friendships and relationships with these businesses. So we figure, let's shout them out. Let's help our friends that have local businesses. You were one of the ones that came right to mind because, dude, we love the model of your shop. We love the things you guys do there. So that was one of the biggest things was, hey, shout out to Kyber Cave. I don't know if you've noticed the last 2 times we've shouted you guys out. I've got Dwayne playing in the background.
Yes.
But as much as it's about like us or about the community or about the business, it's about the individual. And that's what we want to do is connect with individuals. Like I've met a ton of people through Kyber Cave. Like shout out to, who was it? Chris Stratton that was just on.
Yes.
Just came up there. I know he's a big cosplayer. He loves cosplay. Like Robin's his main thing. And I'm just like, he hit me up on Facebook and was just like, can we be friends? I'm like, let's go nerd out together, brother.
Right. Yeah, he's a great supporter.
Shout out to Hawaii. My cousin Hazel is on.
Hawaii in the house.
There you go.
So where do you see, do you try to map out like directions that you want the show to go in over time? Like, do you sit down and look at the Marvel calendar and go, okay, like July, we're going to be talking about this, and like, do you look at the bigger thing and try to map things out, or do you just kind of free flow it and go in each week with try to come up with fresh material?
Kind of a combination of both.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's a bit of both. Like, there's some long-term plans that we have to do. Like, okay, we got these interviews that we're trying to set up, and we gotta plan that out. But then, like, hey, did you look at the news the last 2 days? I didn't. So have you? So we just gotta, figure some things out or wing it. But
like what shows are happening, and it's kind of like, okay, so if we're covering WandaVision for this time to this time, what's the next thing we cover from this time to this time? Like that breakdown segment. The whole idea is what's a show that we think is going to be a popular show that everybody is watching, and kind of like break down the each episode. So, like right now, the plan obviously is like all the Marvel stuff that's happening. It was almost a godsend for us because it's easy to just like follow that schedule.
Right. Now I know you guys haven't. You said that you haven't had this pop up yet, where somebody is talking about something that you don't know anything about. But have you thought about? Hey, big shout out to Shane in the house. Sorry. Have you thought about like? I mean, as somebody that appreciates the nerd culture, I'm sure you don't like everything, right? So what happens if somebody says, I want to talk about, I don't know, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and you hate Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? What do you do in those kind of situations? Do you talk about it anyways, or you just tell them, we're gonna skip that topic?
No, we talk about it anyways. We have talked about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, by the way.
Yes. For one, Ninja Turtles are awesome.
Exactly.
They are.
Second, we have, like, as fans, we have to respect other people's fandom.
Right.
Maybe I'm not super into something, but I gotta respect, if somebody else is completely into something, that I'm not into yet. Like, maybe there's a reason I'm not into it, but also like maybe I just haven't found it yet. And so sometimes it's about that discovery, like what we were talking about with The Expanse. I just haven't discovered yet, but other people have. Maybe I need to get into it. So.
Yeah, I'm very anti, toxic fandom, right? Like, because being Star Wars fans, the Star Wars community has some pretty toxic fans, right? DC community has very toxic fans. So I'm very big on making sure that we are positive about things and that we're not bringing up negativity. That we find the positive in anything that we talk about. So I don't. I want us, again, to be inclusive, but I want us to be a show that promotes positivity. Like, what's the point in being angry and mad about things just because something's different? Again, there are fandoms that I may think are weird that I want people to tell us, like, hey, you should look into this, and then I can find out why they're into it. That's the beauty of what we want to do is, say somebody says, I love My Little Pony. Right. I've never really watched. Bronies are a big thing, right? I've never really watched it, but that would give me an excuse to watch the show so that I can get into it and say, hey, this is why people love this. This is a cool thing to bring up. Like, that's the point in this is to bring light to why people love things.
Yeah. Right. And that's not to say that we don't like things. Like, I'll pull the curtain back. Like, I wasn't happy with Wonder Woman 84, or I didn't like Star Wars. Which one did I not like? The Last Jedi, right? Like, I didn't like those, but I'm a huge Star Wars fan. Like, I've been to 4 different Star Wars celebrations. So what talking about it with friends, talking about it with young Phil over here, it's like what I find that when I don't like something, it's not that I hate it. It's just a matter of like it didn't meet my expectations of what I thought it should be.
Right.
So it's like I thought the story was going to go in a certain way and it didn't. So that made me unhappy. And it took me a minute to realize like I was the problem why something I thought wasn't good. So,
right.
Yeah.
Wow. It's an interesting way to look at it. Now, I've often said, I come from a stage background, webcast and stage production. And I've often felt that the host of a show or an event kind of dictates the people that come in, right? So if you're really loud and obnoxious as a host, you're probably going to get an audience group that is loud and obnoxious. Having said that, Phil, Phillipe, you were talking about toxic fandom and how you were against that. Have you had anybody that has come on and started being toxic? And if you haven't, how would you deal with that situation if somebody came on your show and was just spewing all kinds of negativity about a certain thing?
We haven't really run into it on the show. I mean, I've dealt with many toxic fans, but it really becomes a conversation of understanding, right? And it becomes a debate. So it's more of I've never been one to say you're wrong. I've been more of let me understand your perspective. And like, why is it that you believe this and this and this, right? And then I'll give my counterpoints. But I've never been one to do name calling. I've never been one to say that you're wrong because this and this, unless I'm joking and I'm directly saying nope, you're wrong, right? But I mean, like, I've never like sincerely told somebody that they're wrong for believing something.
Right.
I'll try and understand what it is that their position is and why they believe that position, and then counter and say this is what I believe and this is why I think this is right.
Yeah. That's part of the reason why we have our I think this is why it's taken off. Our Facebook group, the Distance Nerdington Post, is that it is a conversation. There's times where some people are super happy about something and then other people are like, meh, I hated it. But part of our job, young Phil and I, is to facilitate that and just make sure like, hey, if you didn't like it, tell me why, because somebody else liked it. Tell me, you may have a completely valid point or you just may not like it, but tell me why, because we may connect on certain things, or I may be able to enlighten you somehow that you didn't know of.
Right. And I think that's what's really cool for all the fans out there that aren't yet, haven't yet checked out your podcast or checked you out on Facebook, the Nerdington Post. That's what I really like that I think is really cool about you guys. I remember right after I watched an episode of WandaVision, I had sent a message over to Nerdington Post, and my question was about, why do you think Star Wars fandom, has so many toxic fans when WandaVision, everybody in the world seems to love WandaVision and nobody's being toxic? Why do you have these different? And what was interesting to me is I'm not the type of person that typically goes into different groups and starts conversations. But when I had that question, like, I remember it was like 1 o'clock in the morning and I was like, I have nobody to talk to right now and I want to know this. So I went to your guys' page. But I felt compelled to do so because I know on your page there's more of a conversation. It's not like I don't feel like I'm being talked at. You know what I mean?
Right.
Well, first off, thanks for posting that, because creating the conversation is what we want out of it. And by the way, create that conversation. Message me, because 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning, I'm waiting to talk
You're
to you.
Prime time.
That's his watch time, so that's usually when he's watching a show or watching a movie or something because his kids are sleeping, and that's when he can actually do that. No, man. Please, by all means, if you're up at 1 o'clock in the morning and you just have something on your mind and you want to talk about it, just do it, man. It's we want the conversations to go, because the thing is the only way you're going to learn is by having conversations.
Right.
Speaking to that, I was thinking about it. So the Star Wars toxicity versus the Marvel non-toxicity, right?
Right.
Oh, there's plenty of toxicity in Marvel. Like
The quick analogy is like Star Wars is this person that you've been with for a long time, and you know all their goods, all their bads, all their little quirks that you hate. You know, Marvel MCU WandaVision is kind of that new person you see walking down the street, and you're like, ooh,
Right.
and you have no idea what's bad about it. So you're like, hey. So just, that's my thing with Marvel and Star Wars. It's like you have all this built up expectations with Star Wars because it's been around for so long. But like for the MCU, because really we're talking about the MCU, not really Marvel Comics.
Right.
We're all experiencing Marvel MCU for the first time together.
Right.
You know, so it's all like we're just absorbing it and taking it all in. And this is like the new Star Wars of this generation.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
With the cinematic universes and everybody being kind of toxic about this stuff, I look at it as if it were a comic book, right? These are new storylines. These are new stories being told in a new way, right? Like that's why I've never been upset with anything they change in Marvel. Most of the stuff that they change in Marvel makes sense, you know, and the way I see it is it seems like they are taking storylines and rewriting them and like writing a new comic book essentially, right? How many times have we seen DC get rebooted, right? So when people get mad that, oh, it's not like this or it's based on New 52 or anything like that, well, it's a new vision of the storylines, you know, like whether you like it or not, like it's not like the comics. Well, it's not going to be like the comics, right? With Star Wars, I've always felt that we're not the ones writing the story, right? That the story is the story. If you know, if you believe that it should have went a certain way or been something else, well, I mean, that's not our choice to make, right? Canon is canon, and now whatever happened in everybody was mad at the prequels. Whatever happened in the prequels is part of canon. And the thing is now everybody is praising the Mandalorian, right? Like half the stuff in the Mandalorian wouldn't exist if it wasn't for the prequels.
Yeah.
Right.
Mandalorian's that new girl, you know, walking down the street. Ooh.
I mean, like I've always been like, whatever the content that comes out, then absorb it, take it in, and it's a part of the story. And you have to find ways. If you don't like something, you have to find the positives in it either way. You know, there's always going to be positives. And James always says that I'm a glass half full kind of guy because I'm always finding, you know, positivity in everything. But I mean, I have to be optimistic in my fandom.
Right. Makes sense. So, guys, we're going to get ready and be wrapping up here in a second. I wanted to ask you before we get into the other info, what do you see for the future of distance nerding? Are there segments on the show that you guys have been talking about trying out that you haven't done yet? Have you been thinking about how you want to evolve the show in the future, or are you just having fun for right now and figuring out it as it goes?
Well, it kind of depends on how we kind of let it. Bruce Lee, right? We let it be like water. We just let it be like water. It may be the podcast. It may be the Facebook group. You know, everybody keeps telling us, and we have some podcast mentors that are like, you guys, we love your chemistry. This would be an amazing like video piece.
Yeah.
Maybe it's video. Maybe you're seeing it right now, right here on Saber Rattle is when young Phil and I go into video. So we'll see what happens, and whatever sticks. Whatever doesn't.
Yeah.
Right?
That's kind of where I've been getting into the gaming streams and the Legos. It's kind of like pushing the boundaries a little bit to see, you know, is it something that people want us to do?
Yeah.
The other thing that we do that we don't have a date or anything, but we're planning is trying to do a online event with like, you know, prize giveaways and you know, trivia, like the stuff that you would used to go to a pub to go do, you know, because we can't do that. We want to do that online. We want to be able to get everybody together, right? And if you've listened to the show, you hear me say it all the time. I'm not afraid to buy your affection. I will buy your love. If that means I'm giving it away on the show, so be it.
Yeah, and it also goes through topics. Like we have love for the Marvels and the Star Wars, but like to be honest, pulling the curtain back, Phil and I are big time wrestling fans.
Oh yeah,
and it's wrestling's that weird fandom. Shout out to Jester G, who is also watching. I think he's in Virginia right now, right?
Yeah.
He's also a big wrestling fan. So we have Facebook messages between Jester G, Phil, and myself 4 or 5 hours long of just watching a pay-per-view together, you know?
Right.
Rises.
Yeah. So it's all about, just finding your friends.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Dig it. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, see, I feel like I now know too much now.
Yeah. Welcome. Sorry,
Hey,
you let us in.
So we're gonna get to wrapping this up. Where can people find out more information about you? Where can they find the podcast? If they want to watch some of these live streams, let people know where they can do that.
If you want to see anything, you can go to distancenerding.com, and that's kind of our hub where everything's there. But Phil always says we're at Distance Nerding on
social medias, like anywhere, any social media site that you can go to, we're at Distance Nerding. Twitch.tv/Distance Nerding, YouTube.com/Distance Nerding, Distance Nerding on everything. I mean, just if you look for Distance Nerding, more than likely you're gonna find us. You'll see our logo. The logo right here. If it's this logo, it's us.
Yeah, you guys got cool stickers too.
You'll see us at KyberCon 2.
Yeah.
You'll see us there.
I want you guys to come out and host the event.
I thought I was going to
more than happy for that, man. I'm more than happy to host the event. We basically stole your show last year, so I mean, I think we can handle hosting next this next.
That's why we got to have you back, man. You guys know what you're doing.
Yeah. And the other thing is, Ark, you're going to come on the show, right? You're going to be on our show.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I'm ready to go.
All right, because I'm excited to have you on our show, man. So
yeah, we're super excited. We're super excited for KyberCon 2. We know Dominic Pace is coming, so that's amazing. So we can't wait to do more with you. We can't wait to come down and check out the battles in person. You know,
you got to come in the battle. I'm telling you, dude. You guys need to put on little GoPros and beat the crap out of each other.
Okay, I have a video of me. I have a video of me fighting in the dojo at one point, so I might have to look forward and post it.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
All right. I want to thank both you gentlemen, Phillipe and James from Distance Nerding. Be sure to check out Distance Nerding at social media, right? Anywhere you can go on social media, there is Distance Nerding.
If it's social media, look Distance Nerding. If it's not there, we probably don't have it. If it is, like, subscribe, join, and talk to us. That's all we want, is for everyone to talk to us, and we can nerd out together.
Beautiful. Thank you both so much for coming on. I cannot wait to see you guys at the Dominic Pace event. I'm going to come up and be on your show before that happens.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Thank you so much, gentlemen.
Kevin Hovian, keep it kayfabe, bro. Thanks, Ark. Thanks, everybody. You guys are awesome.
All right,
Thank
guys.
you. You all have a beautiful night. Take it easy.
Cool, man.
Okay, Flannel.
All right.
Sorry about that, guys. Those guys are so cool. Like, I could just talk to them all night long.
I know. It seemed like a very, very interesting interview, and it was.
Yeah, well, they're going to be here for the May 4th event that we're having here for Dominic Pace. I'm going to have them as our MCs for that night.
All right. And I have a quick question for both of you. What is the most important thing you do when you wake up and you go to sleep? When you first wake up and before you go to sleep?
Are you asking me about my bathroom habits?
Wait, what? I'm just saying, brushing teeth is the important thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And urinating.
I don't know.
Yeah. What was the brushing teeth what was that about? The segue.
Well, I have a video of this dentist on TikTok who cleans his teeth with an interesting toothbrush and a weird type of toothpaste.
I'm getting kind of scared, but I forgot about our TikTok of the night. Roll that film. Let's see what this interesting toothbrush is.
All right.
Let's find out how well a Star Wars toothbrush will clean my stained teeth. It's disclosing time. Chocolate toothpaste? Let's check the before results. Hopefully the force is strong with this one. Fat glob. Let's get brushing. This toothpaste is delicious. Let's check the after results. The force was weak with this one. This toothbrush didn't clean my teeth the best because the bristle heads are small and simple, but man, it was a fun toothbrush to use.
We actually used to sell that toothbrush at Kyber Cave.
Really?
They are not the most effective toothbrushes in the world.
Apparently not.
They're
And,
tiny.
They're
It's
children's
tiny.
toothbrushes, all right? They're not meant for adults.
Phillipe wants it. Phillipe wants it. He said, okay, I kind of want that toothbrush.
Nice. Well, yes, that was very interesting. And I like that device that he had to make him look like the Predator, dude. You could just cosplay with that thing.
Exactly.
Speaking of cosplay, Miss Phoenix, we have a very exciting cosplay for tonight because he is a producer of the show. So tell us about this fantastic cosplay we have tonight.
Okay, he is backed by popular demand. In fact, a few people have actually asked about his technique and his cosplay. So please welcome to the show, James Kaiser.
There I am. Hello.
Hello! And
Here, my half-hearted cosplay. I know you guys always show up with. There we go. Oh, there. Half-hearted cosplay. This is
that is
the
awesome.
special St. Patrick's Day Nihilus.
Oh, in fact, I think, and you've actually submitted, and I'll bring it up in a moment. But I'll let you show it off too. Let's see. We have actually. You sent me a.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, right there.
I just figured I should put something on because your cosplay people always show up in costume, and I'm kind of impromptu and in an attic, so.
Not all of them. Not all of them. In fact, some of you love playing with this mask. Apparently, are they all the same? Because I'm looking at them. They're not all the same.
No, so I have a bunch of blank Nihilus masks, and so I've basically one of the things that I do. I'm a member of the 501st Legion, and so I like to do a lot of crossover cosplay. So I'm a big fan of Darth Nihilus, but I like to go through and like take my masks and dress them up for special occasions because sometimes we have holiday events, and other times I just need to dress like a giant pink bunny rabbit and go around with an Easter egg on my forehead. So things like that happen. There you go.
Yeah. That is actually pure art. In fact, speaking of art, you fabricate some of your own stuff as well. In fact, please tell me that mask ends up on your door. Like you have a wreath like that goes on your door at Christmas time.
For
And
Christmas time, yeah, they end up around. Mostly there's a gallery of Nihilus masks on one of my bookcases. Right next to like a whole gallery of holocrons that I make, and so it's they're kind of a shrine to expanded universe, which is kind of my jam.
in fact, I wish I had a better picture of some of your holocrons because I've seen them there, and that's a big part. People don't really talk about how the things you make, the things you're holding, the things you're fidgeting with is a big part of cosplay. Let me see if I can find a picture of you. There we go. Holding. Is that one of your holocrons? Yeah.
Yeah, that's Pride Nihilus for Pride Month with his rainbow Neopixel and my rainbow holocron. That's one of mine. That's actually at my store. My other job is I own a video store.
So you're just an overall throwback geeky nerd.
Oh yeah, totally. I completely understand that conversation they were having about now the guys who used to be giving you swirlies are now dressed up like Iron Man. It's an interesting time, but yeah, I go way back, all the different nerddoms. I want to see the Distance Nerding guys do a Lovecraft episode. I don't know if they have done, but if they haven't, they need to do a Lovecraft Cthulhu episode because that's rich and fertile land there.
Hopefully they're listening, and we can put a request in for that. In fact, tell me a little more about Nihilus and your cosplay, because this one is so cool. I'm in love with this picture.
Yeah, that's another one of my holocrons there on the chair, on the Iron Throne. But yeah, that was at a comic shop. They were doing a May the 4th event, and so I showed up as Nihilus and got to sit on the Iron Throne. And I've got another one of with Daenerys in the background, going or looking confused. But yeah, most of what I cosplay is the expanded universe, which is the stuff that Disney doesn't necessarily acknowledge anymore. So with the 501st Legion, I do a lot of Nihilus. I actually have an approved version of both Nihilus, or both the versions of Nihilus, the Champions of the Force and the original KOTOR. But Nihilus is kind of my favorite because he's the closest that you get in the Star Wars universe to something like a Lovecraft monster. So he kind of crosses the fandom for me. But I also do Revan, and I do RC9er, and then a few weird crossover things. Oh, there's me as Revan. So yeah, that's.
And
there's me as
looks like
RC9er.
Yep. And I noticed you really like the bunny picture. And let's see what is this one exactly?
Oh, that's winter onesie Kylo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see.
Oh, that was actually me busking at my sister-in-law's wedding. I thought that was kind of a fun thing to do. I showed up as or they said it's casual attire. You can show up wearing whatever you want. And so I showed up to their wedding wearing that. And so like after the wedding was over, I just started doing some flow arts, and I put out a basket and I gave them everything that I collected. So I busked to their wedding.
Oh, that is so cool, because you always have that one relative that you're afraid they're going to show up in something weird, but you rocked it. So how did you get into cosplay? I know I asked that a lot of people. How did you really, was it just, as far as you can remember, or is there a moment that you're like, this looks like fun?
Well, I've always been one of those kids who Halloween was always my favorite holiday, and so I've always really loved costumes. But getting into cosplay as an adult, I was much later to the game than a lot of other people. I started out in flow arts and then fire performing, or actually it's the other direction. But I didn't really consider that cosplay was something that I wanted to do. And then I got this friend online who cosplays Kylo and Hellboy and a bunch of other people. So shout out to Mark Todd. And he really sort of pushed me into this and said, you need to get into cosplay. And so I got my first Nihilus, and I was hooked at that point. So while I may thank him, my account balance does not.
And we've seen you do a lot of flow. How often do you do flow and cosplay?
Just about every event. So my local garrison, when I signed up, or when I started trooping with the 501st, like about 3 years ago, I think, one of the guys in my garrison, every time I get out to something, I'm at a birthday party, and he's like, hey, can you do something with the lightsaber? Or I got to be out in the middle of a baseball diamond at a baseball game, and so I'm out there with Revan, and it's the middle of summer, and so it's ridiculously hot, and I'm in full armor, and they're like, can you do some saber spinning? And I'm like, oh man, okay, sure. And so I end up on the Jumbotron, and so it's cool. And I tend to prefer costumes that I can move in. Revan's a little bit more difficult, but Nihilus is a very easy to move in costume. But you'll notice that you never get me doing any flow arts with Nihilus. Or sorry, not with Nihilus, with RC9er. Because in that clone armor, I'm looking at a flight of stairs, and I'm like, oh, do I really have to go up this flight of stairs? But with Nihilus, I can get out there and bust some moves. I guess that's a terrible thing to say for somebody my age. But anyhow, it's what we do.
And how hot is it in some? Because I'm actually working on putting fans in a Mando costume. I'm hoping it's finished by April. How hot is it in some of those?
Very. So I'm in Oregon, which means that it doesn't get quite as hot here as for some of the people in California. But I have cosplayed in 109-degree weather before. And there's this wonderful magic moment where you get everything on, and it's actually cooler because it's providing its own shade. But then the heat just goes up and up and up. And then over the course of the day, I think at those baseball games, they after we get off the field, when they do the national anthem and stuff, they file all of the cosplayers into the walk-in freezer, and we just hang out in the freezer for a bit and like recover and lean on things and try not to pass out. But yeah, cosplay takes some dedication, especially in the summertime, because if you think about it, I can move pretty well in Nihilus, but Nihilus is like 3 layers of black wool
Oh wow.
and like a
And
full head mask. So it's tough.
what else does that consist of? Because I know I hear a lot about people saying like the clone troopers, they're hard to move. You know, you have to file it down to be able, or even just walk like a robot. Which
Oh
you
yeah.
see, yeah.
Yeah, I like to clone troopers always remind me of like babies with full diapers when they're moving around. Because I try my best not to look like that, but I know that I must when I'm doing RC9er. But yeah, some of those things you get into that full body armor, and cosplay has some level or has a bunch of different levels. I mean, there's like Nihilus, which is all soft goods, and then there's Revan, which is like half and half, and Kylo's all soft goods more or less. So they're warm costumes. But then you get into something full body that's like clone trooper armor, and yeah, you're walking around and you're being very careful because you know that if like the Velcro on your shoulder comes loose, then your whole plate's gonna fall down. And with the chest piece on, there's no way you're gonna be able to reattach it. So we've
Mhm.
got like minders who are there to like help us reattach things when we start to fall apart after an hour. But
Ooh.
yeah,
Yeah. In fact, I've seen some of the regulations on the 501st, and even MMCC don't use glue for your costumes because you will melt like a snowman.
yeah, my Revan costume, it had hot glue attaching the like the little accordion ab plate or the little accordion piece that connects the kidney armor to the chest piece. And I was out doing a summer troop, and yeah, that hot glue just flat out melted, and so I sort of fell apart and had to go reevaluate my costume with safety pins and Velcro that somebody had on hand.
And going back to your flow and your cosplay, tell me a little bit. When did you really get into flow? Like, because you started cosplay since you were a kid, but how long have you been at it? Because I've seen you, twirling. Like a lot of people have had questions about your, uh, you know, uh, Jedi-like powers with a lightsaber.
Yeah, well, that I've been doing for a lot longer. I've been doing flow arts for more than a decade. I've only been cosplaying at the 501st level. I mean, up at that sort of upper echelon. I've only been doing that for about 3 or 4 years. But flow arts I've been doing for quite a while, and that's my fitness routine. I kind of have to have a fitness routine that keeps me moving, but I can't. I'm one of those people that I can't just sit down and like walk on a treadmill because I'll be
Mhm.
talking to myself saying, "Why are you walking on a treadmill? You're just standing on something and moving towards the same wall." So I have to have something that not only has meaning and is fun for me, but actually gets me moving. And flow arts was my way to do that about a decade and a half ago.
Uh, and what got you into it? Like, was there something that just struck you? Did you find was there a friend that was like, "Hey, check this out"? What?
No, when I started out doing flow arts, it was I went on some of the forums for some of the people who like made some of the Star Wars stuff, and I was like, "Hey, I want to dance and do like flow arts with this stuff," and they were like, "You want to do what? That's not combat accurate." And so I got all this crap for, "What are you doing? This is a lesser thing, and why would you waste your time?" And I'm like, "Well, this is cool." And I knew of a few like circus performers who did this sort of stuff, but I really wanted to. I don't know what really sold me on the idea of it. It's just one of those things that I always figured, if you're going to be a nerd and you're going to collect this stuff, what's cooler than collecting it is knowing how to use it. And so I decided, I've been a Star Wars nerd for a long time. I've had the action figures since the early '80s. I've still got some of my action figures from the early '80s. And I look at these things and I've been collecting them. And so I finally went out and I got a lightsaber, and I'm like, you know, I guess I got to learn how to use that. And I got a fire, and then I got a fire sword. I'm like, I guess I got to learn how to use that. And so it was my desire to learn how to use all these cool things that I collected. And so like when I get into cosplay, it's like I've got to figure out, how do I use this costume? How do I get out there and not just be this interesting character who gets to take his picture, or you get to take your picture with at an event, but how do I actually bring this action intensive character to life? Because if you watch them in the games and in the comic books and stuff, they don't just stand there and go. So
And speaking of collecting and really knowing what you're doing, you actually have a YouTube channel.
yep, yeah, I'm Darth Cephalus just about everywhere. And I've reached that age where I stop caring what people say. So that's kind of essential to getting on YouTube, because I put out a video and I get a lot of people who love what I do and who comment about it, and then I get like 20 people within the first day who are like, "What's wrong with your fingernails?" And it's like, it's the nature of the internet. And so I go by Darth Cephalus out there, and people talk about that name, and I get a lot of Darth Syphilis cracks. But really, it's an homage to my two favorite fandoms. It's Star Wars and Cthulhu mythos, because Cephalus as in cephalopod as in octopus.
So
And so
you
yeah,
are a
you can.
giant Lovecraft fan. Otherwise,
Oh yeah, yeah. You can find me on pretty much most social medias. I haven't really gotten into TikTok yet, and I tried to get into Instagram, but I just sort of hated it. But I'm on Facebook and YouTube and old people social media, I guess. But I'm on all of them as Darth Cephalus, and I have a presence on a lot of the different forums that are devoted to lightsabers and glow arts. So
and what was the inspiration for starting the YouTube channel? Because I know back in early 2000s, everybody had a YouTube channel, but not everybody starts them today.
So yeah, my inspiration for the YouTube channel is it started out as just a place to host a video file. I was talking to people on a forum about lightsaber techniques, and I'm like, well, what do you guys think about this? And they're like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, let me show you. And I didn't have a convenient way like Google Drive or anything like that to send it to them. So I just said, okay, well, set up a YouTube account. And I went in and set up a YouTube account and did something with a lightsaber and sent it to them. And then I started getting all of this feedback on that video that I put up there. And I'm like, okay, well, now I'm going to do some tutorials on how to do some lightsaber spins. And those got feedback. And then I'm like, okay, now I'm going to start doing some reviews. And that's when things really took off, because that's where YouTube excels, is the reviews. And so now I do reviews and flow videos and occasionally tutorials. And I've actually got tutorials specifically related to cosplay on my YouTube channel. I've got a Becoming Nihilus and a Becoming Revan that are basically resources for anybody who wants to try to put together a costume for these characters, where I sort of break it down and I say, well, here's what things like the 501st want, and then here's what you can do if you're not being official, and here's the different options and the different makers and the different styles, and here's what separates this Revan from that Revan and this Nihilus from that Nihilus. And so I try to break it down for people so that they can figure out how to wrap their head around the version of the costume that they want to try to take on.
And I'm sure a few people are thinking what I'm thinking. You have a YouTube channel. You make the all sorts of sorry, I'm blinking on the holocrons, and you do flow and you work in a video store. Do you sleep?
Yes, yeah. As a matter of fact, I'm probably getting hate mail from my 6-year-old right now, who's trying to, or who thinks that we should be heading home. But yeah, I do have a tendency to, or I do find the time to put it all in there. I also teach community college, so I teach literature and writing. So I found many years ago that if I just take on more and more jobs, then if I stop doing one for a while, it feels like a break.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I totally get that one. Especially doing something like this. I think it maybe even a lifestyle. Actually, let me see. You sent me. Oh, there we go.
Yep.
Nope.
There we go.
Yeah. Is that? See, I'm just looking for you and your son, because I think you or your.
No, my son's not in that picture. That was actually at my my niece and nephew's grade school. They had an event, and at that same event that I was on the swings messing around, I also sort of crashed the library. I don't know what they call the game, but they play music and they've got number spots on the ground, and then when the music stops, you have to find a number spot and they draw. It's like a cakewalk. But I went in full costume and crashed the cakewalk and revened around on the cakewalk tiles, and yeah. So that's the fun of being out in these things, is you can just sort of peer around a corner and show up, and then all of a sudden it's a whole new thing for everybody.
No one asks questions about Revan showing up. They're not going to challenge a guy with a lightsaber anyway.
Yeah,
In fact,
I mean,
did,
Sith Lord wants to join your cakewalk, you let the Sith Lord join your cakewalk. That's just how that works.
in fact, I don't know if you heard, but a couple years ago, there was a guy that beat off half the police department almost, or at least what they said in the news, in Oregon with a lightsaber, which
Yep.
knowing Portland, I'm not surprised.
I'm not at all. I mean, there's like a saber maker in Portland, so there's a lot of lightsabers wandering around the Portland area. But yeah, I think that I remember that guy because he like deflected a taser or something like that. So yeah, it's great, and I practice my stuff at the college that I work at, and I've had weird conversations with the campus security before, where they have to come up and figure out what I'm doing and determine whether or not I'm dangerous. But if you're in full costume, you get a lot more leeway. I can show up as Revan and start spinning lightsabers, and if you look like a Sith Lord and you're spinning lightsabers, then no problem. If you look like an average person spinning lightsabers, they have to assess your threat level.
Yeah, figure out if you're that creeper that's trying to, look at kids. Anyway,
there's a lot of crossover as well with the different fandoms and things that I do. I mean, I had a student just this term who wrote her first paper as "Hello, Darth Cephalus. Here's how I want to persuade you to give me a lightsaber." And so yeah, every so often I meet people who like come into my shop and they've seen me on YouTube, or I meet people on YouTube that saw me at an event, or sometimes they took a class from me, and it's interesting to see that crossover sometimes.
And that's a good way to say, even to our followers and our watchers, like, just say hi. We like you guys. And how do people find you? Because you said you're in Oregon and you do all these things. How do people find you and contact you if they want a holocron, or even just to get some tips?
So like I said, I'm on everything pretty much as Darth Cephalus. So if you're on Facebook and you look up Darth Cephalus, you'll find me. If you go on Google and you look up Darth Cephalus, you'll find me. I think there's only one other mention to anything with that name on Google, and it's like some German fan fiction or something like that from many years ago. But everything else is me. So if you just look up that, you'll find me. My holocron stuff is under DC Holocrons, and the DC stands for Darth Cephalus. And my username on many of the forums, including the 501st, is Darth Cephalus. So I decided a long time ago, I'm just going to take that name, I'm going to run with it. And that's sort of the uniting element between all the things that I do, except perhaps for my store, because that has nothing on it about Darth Cephalus.
That's good to know. Hopefully we see more of your flow pretty soon. And you're joining us on the show. In fact, you're one of our more quiet producers, as I was saying.
Yeah, I suppose I am. Well, one of these days, I'll come on and talk to you about holocrons, because I think that's a fascinating realm of discussion as well.
Please do. In fact, I'm very, very interested, because I've been, scouting out these holocrons forever, and I've been like, how do they do that? They're so intricate, and they're because I'm just really getting into the lore. It only mentions it at the end of the Clone Wars, and Rebels. They just really briefly touch on it. There's
a deep tradition of holocrons, but it's legends. It exists in like the source material in Book of the Sith, and in the graphic novels, in the book, the actual prose books. But yeah, there's a lot of them. It's been neglected ever since the Disney thing. So they've sort of taken that element out. But I like them because it's kind of the secret underlying history of. They're more fascinating to me than lightsabers, which is saying something.
In fact, I think they were fighting over Wayfinder, but those look very similar to holocrons.
Yeah, that was it. For those people who know the original story before that was changed to what Rise of Skywalker became, that was originally going to be a holocron. but they decided not to. They decided not to chew off more than they could, or bite off more than they could chew, and so they decided to call it something different. They called it a Wayfinder, so they didn't have that baggage. Because Star Wars fans, they were gonna, as soon as you call something a holocron, they're like, that doesn't work like it's supposed to.
Yeah. Get on the internet and start typing away furiously. Yeah. Yeah. So thank you for being on the show, and definitely have you back for talking about holocron lore. In fact, that'd be an interesting show to have pretty soon.
Yeah, no worries.
All right, James, have I see you pretty soon.
Yep. All right. Have a good night.
Have a good night.
I think that was funny that you said that he was like the quietest of all the producers on the show.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's
because I know. Yeah, it's funny because I know James, and we all know James because we all talk as producers on the show. But the show, it's almost like he's almost a little removed because we see his content but not him.
Right.
So I definitely like having James on the show once and have him talk a little more.
Right. Yeah, it is always good to have, and he's a man of many talents. So we can have him on every show, and the man can talk about something different every single show.
I'm sure we could probably talk him into it. He'd probably be like, ugh.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank everybody that has tuned in. Flannel Go, it is always good to see you. Thank you for the TikTok of the night. We had Dylan Wilmont. Thank you for the flow of the show with that, and the Sons of Obiwan. And of course, we had Distance Nerding, Phillipe and James from Distance Nerding. We had a really fun show tonight. And James, Kaiser, of course.
Yeah. A lot of people very, dedicated to their craft, which this is a good episode.
Yeah, we're lucky to meet really cool people every episode, and it's been fun watching the comments board light up and seeing everybody talking to each other. That's actually my favorite part. Is it's kind of like what they were saying on Distance Nerding, is having this place where people can come together and talk about whatever they're geeking out on.
And kind of like our Wanda thing, but
Right. Well, next week we can talk about it.
Oh yeah. And I have a feeling we're going to have some more things coming up because Star Wars is about to explode by summer, and then next year we're going to have it seems like over 40 shows, being announced.
Yeah. Well, we got Falcon and Winter Soldier starts, I think, in like a week.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's something another Marvel project right directly behind that. Oh, and Bad Batch. Bad Batch is the Star Wars one that comes out. And I don't know if you guys heard no, I won't do a spoiler because I heard, I don't know if it's true, but I heard something very interesting. People that have been a fan of The Mandalorian will be very interested to watch Bad Batch. Let's just say that.
Oh, you can't do that. Art.
All right, y'all. I'm going to get out of here. We're running a little bit late tonight, but I always have fun on this show. We get to meet incredible people, and I get to hang out with you two every week.
And thanks for sticking with us. We've been starting a little late, having tech issues, but thank you to the people who stick with us every week till the end.
Right, especially Chris. We love you, Chris. Even though we know Flannel's your favorite.
Oh yes.
Leave that down.
Flannel's our sex symbol here on the show.
Oh yeah. James said Falcon and Winter Soldier and Black Widow and Loki. Yes. We have a lot going on for Marvel. So I am very experienced. So just go check out Distance Nerding, and they can let you know about the schedule of everything happening.
Oh yeah. I'll be liking stuff. In fact, this show fills my Facebook of all the stuff I'm going to like and follow and add. So I've got some stuff to follow.
All right. All right, y'all. Well, we are going to tune out. Thank you so. Oh, hey. Oh my goodness. Caden just popped on. I just see his comment come down here. Caden is with Rebel Cause Lancaster. We love them. Great organization. If you can look them up online, help any way you can. they've kept 2 shelters open for people during this whole pandemic. They have actually been a great force in their area. So I support Caden anytime I can and Rebel Cause Lancaster. But for now, we are out of here. So we will see you next week. We will start on time and we will have no tech problems or Vic is fired.
What?
You're leaving anyways, man.
Don't.
All right, y'all. I love you guys. I'm gonna go give Vic a hug and let him know that I was just kidding. Peace, y'all. We will see you next week. Bye.